Welcome to the Rocket Launcher Podcast, episode 178. I am your host, Supreme King. Join with me, as always, is his name is.
It's your guy Omazes.
I'm just off my game today. Listen,
Yeah,
we're gonna
man.
go out of order. There's games going literally as we speak, and we'll
Miss
touch
so
on
many.
a few of those next week. But everything leading up to the Summer Games Fest is what we're going to touch on, but I do want to go out of order for the sake of engagement. We'll talk about PlayStation first. I do want to mention the game you're seeing is not the new Wolverine. I made the decision to just pull out some of this Wolverine footage that I didn't want to pull out yet of the Wolverine game from yesteryear, going back into the 360 and PS3.
X-Men Origins.
Yeah, X-Men Origins Uncaged Edition. So if you want to get into a Wolverine game real quick and without even waiting for the new one, you could probably find this like on eBay. It'll be at your house next week, or go support your mom and pop store somewhere that might have this, but it might be a little bit more rare to get this in person. eBay might be your best choice. I think it might be like $30 or $40 on eBay. So it's not really that cheapest thing, but this is a rare game, this version of it. But I do recommend the Uncaged edition because it gets all the blood and gore in there. It's also enhanced a little bit. But anyways, PlayStation State of Play is going to be the first show that we talk about. Then we're going to talk about a bunch of other shows and end it off with the Summer Games Fest. And the first game that they did show was the new Wolverine, which we've heard so much about so far, and they have given us a little bit more gameplay footage for this one, and a release date of, I believe, September 15th, 2026. So about 3 months out from now. And yeah, man, what do you think about this Wolverine? How you feel about the gameplay?
So this was one of my I guess three highlights of the show.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I know one thing that I know some may not like, but I don't mind it. It seems like for the story, the X-Men don't exist in this universe because he didn't know who Jean Grey was.
Okay.
When she popped up. So it seems like there's something else going on, but like mutants are starting to exist, but the X-Men don't, which is a little weird that he has his blue and yellow outfit, but there is no X-Men. So I'm interested to see how this goes. But like Spider-Man, the games, they did their own story. Like none of that comes from the comics, even the Batman stuff. None of those came from the comics. So I guess because I'm a comic book reader, I don't mind when the games do their own thing. I treat it like an Elseworld, its own universe sort of thing, and I'd rather be surprised by how things go than to just know I'm playing through the story I've already read. But I know some people probably won't like that. They just wanted full on just the X-Men there, but I'm interested to see how this goes. Gameplay looked cool. Another complaint I saw was people bringing up the whole his costume healing as well
Mm-hmm.
when he healed. And then my
Didn't I
favorite
thought he
comment.
still had a I thought he still had like a hole in his back or something.
It was like it started regrowing as his wounds healed as well.
Okay.
Where somebody was like, "How is this possible?" Somebody else was like, "Probably nanites." Like it's very easy. Like it's superheroes. You could always just throw nanites as the reason. But what somebody pointed out, when somebody was like, "I don't like that the costume regrows," it's like you want him to run around naked. Because if he's gonna get shot up, and then the whole time he's just naked because all his clothes are gone. But if you're not gonna complain about it in the Deadpool Wolverine movie because they kept stabbing each other, and yet every time the new scene came on, their outfits were perfectly fine. So it's like if you're not gonna complain there, don't complain here. But it looked great for me. I liked it. I liked everything about it.
I did see some complaints about it being like your standard PlayStation game where it's like way more cinematic than it is gameplay.
Yeah.
If that bothers you, I definitely say jump into this game right here on the screen. Still play the other one, but you'll get way more gameplay here, I guess, than there. But that to me is a little bit more expected with just the current state of PlayStation. It was a little annoying when I saw the one screen that they did, which reminded me of like Spider-Man when he's trying to like lift something heavy, and they'll tell you to like keep pressing square. I think a whole bunch of times.
Oh yeah.
I was like, well, that's classic, like what PlayStation does.
But
But
at the same time,
hmm
when you brought up in Spider-Man, it's the same studio like doing it. They
hmm
kind of have a formula. So
hmm
like, at this point I expect it.
yeah. So it is coming out on September 15th, 2026. I don't know if this is going to be a game that has some DLC with it, but when you
Oh,
were
probably.
mentioning the outfits, I do think the outfits might be somewhat similar to Spider-Man, where it's almost
Yeah.
like like not necessarily. Oh, how do I say it? Because I just thought of it. Like it's basically off the record. Because like Spider-Man was able to just jump into so many different suits, and it was just like off the record. Basically, he just wore a
Right, yeah, he
suit,
just had
whatever
him.
you. He just had on something, whatever you put him in. I wonder if that's gonna be the same thing, because you could have him with his regular outfit with the cowboy hat. I've seen that in some
They do.
shots. There were some shots where they were really showing his face. Like I don't know if you
I
noticed, they
saw
didn't
that one.
really show his face as much here. They were more focused on the costumes.
Yeah,
I don't know, but it looked like he may have had a slight redesign from before, because he just had different facial features to me. I could be
a little
wrong,
bit.
but
Um,
yeah. So
they did show in the like, I guess it's the digital deluxe edition. It came with four
hmm
costumes in it.
yeah,
There's this
I
black
think
and
I
yellow
might
one
get
that
that
looks cool.
version. If
The
yeah,
digital deluxe.
yeah. Well,
Oh, I
is
want
it?
a physical.
Do you have to have like can't you get the regular physical version and then buy the deluxe upgrade? Can't you still do that?
They already said that you can do that on X. Like somebody had asked because they said, they're like, is there no way for physical users to get this suit? And they were like, you'll be able to get the deluxe upgrade.
Yeah, that's what I think I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna do it that way. Um, where I have both. If they have a steelbook version, I actually would like to get that.
Same.
But we'll see. We'll see. I do want to mention one last thing about the game before we move forward. If you are someone who is, a part of the Weenie Hut general crowd, you know what I'm saying? If you play too much Astrobot, too much
Hey,
too
watch
much
yourself.
Fall Guys, or
Watch
you
yourself.
you too scared to play Resident Evil 7. They did
So
let you
you're just
know
attacking me.
that you can turn off gore if you want to. You can turn it
No,
off. You can turn that off. You can turn off the blood. You don't have to have that on. If it gives you nightmares, if anything like that, you can do that. I just wanted to put that out there. That is an
that's
option.
weird. That's a very weird choice.
So I don't feel like I'm gonna do that. Maybe my co-host might do that, but I'm not gonna do that. Anyways,
I
yes.
might.
So that's all I really got for Wolverine. It looks like this Wolverine footage has a little bit of some choppiness, so maybe the next set I'll
Well, it's
change the
also old.
format. Yeah, I don't know. I think because I kind of blame that on the capture card, but it is the capture card from the past, or not the past. It's the capture card that's cheap, the $20 one. I think it was called Vivitar. For anybody who's looking for a capture card for PS3, remember the good capture cards um they don't capture on PS3 because of the blockage, but that Vivitar one does. So you take what you can get, right? It ain't that bad. So but yeah, so that was Wolverine. They did follow it up with the Marvel Token game. We've seen that a bunch of times. But Marvel Token, I believe, has the release date of August 6th, 2026. I don't know if you really want to talk too much on it. I know with the rest
Not
of these
really.
shows, we were saying we wanted to just simplify it out, so we can probably go through this really fast. But yeah, it was Marvel Token. They did give you a small little surprise here of the Rayman Legends retold. For
Yeah.
many, many years, Rayman Legends was like very, very cheap, pennies on the dollars. And it kind of seemed like they had let that franchise just die and just was done with it. But it looks like they're going to bring it back with a new, fresh coat of paint, with some touch ups here and there. This is $39.99 from my understanding, and it will come out
Okay.
October 1st, 2026. Why you say it like that? Did that that
I
deter you?
no, well, I would have much preferred something like new. Well, part of me is because like I have Rayman Legends. It was on PS4. You can still play it on PS5. Like I don't know. It was just weird that it's all these years, and then secretly they were working on a fresh coat of paint. And it's like, no, just drop like a new Rayman.
I think that might be. That's usually how they do their formula. Like
Yeah,
they'll hand you something real quick, get you back used to it, and they while they're working on something. At least that's the way it looks with the
I
Tomb
guess
Raider
I'm
series.
just not a big fan on fresh paint on a game that I can clearly still just play on the current console.
All right, well that
Right? Because it
was
was my complaint for like Last of Us when they kept redoing that, and it's just like it's fine, it looks good, and you can already still play it.
that
Like
was
unless this was a free upgrade, the fact that they're reselling it as a whole brand new thing for something you could just go get right now.
that was Grand Theft Auto the trilogy, if I remember correctly. They literally had delisted the regular versions that was just sitting
Yeah,
on the eShops
yeah, I'm not
to
a fan of that move, and it's keeping the same energy. I complained about it with other stuff. Same thing here.
I think this game is called Kimuri. I don't know
Yeah,
if I
that looked
said that
cool.
right. Very flashy parkour type game. I don't know too much about it. I think it was probably a reveal. Um, they give the date 2027. I'll look into it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
Two,
basically you're a team and you're hunting down like monsters. So Japanese monsters, yokai, on
yeah.
like parkour style. It look cool. Like I'm definitely looking into it.
Tomb Raider showed up with two different um games here because I think they were already mentioned. They had two games in the work. Legacy of Atlantis, and then um did I write it down? Oh, The Lost Wild. It's I honestly want them to focus on just one. I don't know how they got it set up over there where they have two going at the same time because it sounds like both are in active development. And to me that sounds like, well, the one that comes out later is probably going to be the one that has the proper time. Just by how we've seen with a lot of other games, but Legacy of Atlantis is supposed to be somewhat of a remake of the first game, which does add up because I remember the old first game had a lot of animals, and this one has a lot of animals. It looked like it was a lot of prehistoric animals as well, T Rex and stuff like that. So I'm interested in both. I do actually still need to finish or play Rise of the Tomb Raider and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. So within this series, I'm like 4 games behind if you talk about all the new stuff. And then there's plenty of old stuff from the 360 era. But did you have thoughts on this at all?
No, it looked cool. I'll let it.
Phantom Blade Zero, we've seen plenty of times.
Hmm.
They did mention also that there's going to be a direct coming later on in the summer, specifically on that game. So we'll look out for it. Silent Hill Townfall, we've seen a few times as well.
Oh,
Um,
what was funny is I forgot that this was officially a Silent Hill game, right? And I just
yeah,
remembered seeing the trailer before, and as I was playing, I was just like, "Hey, we got Silent Hill at home," and then it said Silent Hill, and I was like, "Oh, it is Silent Hill. Never mind."
yeah. So this is actually the third new game. It's almost like they're trying to catch up to Resident Evil. Almost like I didn't even like the Silent Hill 2 remake. Like that one kind of seemed like, okay, we're finally reintroducing the franchise, but then they did Silent Hill F. There, it's almost like Tomb Raider where they had a couple of these going at the same time, and now Townfall is going to be out. So if you were someone who was dying for Silent Hill content, you're getting the content. So this is the third new game that they got. It is going to retail at $49.99, which I don't
Oh,
think is bad. But I,
hey,
I wonder if it's a 6 or 7 hour gameplay. A lot of
does
the horror games are like that. But yeah,
I was gonna say, yeah, as a horror game, I don't think it needs to be longer. I feel
yeah,
like, like I think about it as like if you're watching a horror movie, right? And that
hmm
bad boy is like that hour and 45 minutes, like to 2 hours, if it's like a lot of story to lead in. And it's like, cool, if you're watching a 6 hour horror movie, right, or horror, it's like you're not gonna be scared anymore, right? So I feel like
Yeah.
playing through it, you're gonna run through every possible jump scare. If it's not an action game, right? You're not just constantly shooting zombies. If then I don't think that's how the Silent Hill games go, right? You're not running around just shooting zombies. So yeah, I feel like that's a perfect that 6 to 8 hours. I think that's all it needs.
Yeah, and it seemed like they're at the point where they're just kind of telling original stories within their little universe or whatever. So they could probably just pop out a game every 2 years or every year. I don't know if that's a good idea in the long run. Maybe they need to slow it down a little bit. But if you're a horror fan or overall, you're gonna get a Resident Evil game, then a Silent Hill game, then a Resident Evil game, then a Silent Hill game.
Yeah.
So you'll be good every year. You'll have something every October, I guess. Um, okay. This game actually, like, if we were just looking at like the top, this one kind of stood out to me. It was Stuntman Hollywood. This was a driving
Yo,
game.
yeah.
I think the driving games genre does need a breath of fresh air. This one, because it didn't come off like a racing game. It looked like you were driving
I don't think it
missions or
is a
something.
racing game. I think
Yeah,
it's you have to like perform stunts and get from like point A to point B without crashing, basically.
yeah, it was a different kind of game. So, I really enjoyed seeing this. I was like, okay, this is not Gran Turismo. And then this is also not Forza. It's something else, and so it gives you more variety. And I think variety is always needed in every genre.
What was
Um,
also cool is the cars. They had Knight Rider, like Kit from Knight Rider, the
yeah,
car there. That really caught like when I was watching the trailer, I was like, "Yo, this is cool, this is cool." And then it played the Knight Rider music, and I got excited. And then it had the DeLorean in there, so I'm interested to see what other like famous cars, and like maps are gonna be in this.
yeah. And then next we had
Yeah,
ILL. It was a first person horror game. Not too much there, but it was all right for what it was. I'm kinda interested. Um, and then we follow that up with Control Resonant. This one, much bigger name at this point. We've seen it a bunch of times. They do have a release date for it as September 24th, 2026, within the same month of Wolverine. And funny enough, usually every year, October and February are usually the only 2 months that are stacked. It looks like um, September is starting to join that for this year. And it's
yeah, I
funny
love
because,
the people are saying the reason why.
yeah, the thing about it is, so yeah, everybody's saying everybody wants to run from GTA, but what's goofy though, because I remember we were talking about Fable last week, because I forgot to mention, like, well, if they're jumping to next year and next year in February, they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot anyway, because even though they're not competing with GTA as one game, that game is going to compete with like 7 or 8 games, because February is notorious for doing that. So is October and so is September. And so for some of these titles, you're just going to have to simply be better than other titles, because it's going to get to the point where we might actually see one day every month just be stacked. Even if it's just 3 titles a month, there might be that type of discrepancy where somebody's going to have to make the choice. And um I don't know, somebody might be looking for Control more than they're looking for Wolverine. Somebody's looking
Yeah.
for Wolverine more than Control. Wolverine has been gone for a really long time since this game on the screen. Where Control, you had a consistent amount of releases with that timeline, right? Within that
Hmm.
actual studio. Whether you look at Alan Wake's or the other Control, you can even throw Quantum Break in there if you wanted to.
Yeah,
Um,
I will.
so so yeah, and I'm actually still in that series a little bit. But they also threw out a nice little surprise here of Until Dawn 2.
Yeah, this is
Um,
both a highlight and a concern for me. So, highlight is just they're making an Until Dawn 2. I love the, generic go to the abandoned island and it's not abandoned, like
Mm-hmm.
storyline that they're doing. My only concern is that it's not the same studio, right?
Okay.
Supermaster's not doing it. A whole different studio is doing it, and I looked into it because I'm like, what happened? And it turns out there was some shady stuff, not shady, but like
Yeah.
some bad stuff behind the scene. Apparently, the Quarry was originally supposed to be Until Dawn 2. And PlayStation had got them to like start making it. So they made it, had the like, bones of the game there, and
Mm-hmm.
then decided, you know what, we're actually going to shop this around to see if some other studio wants to pay us for it instead of continuing to work with PlayStation. Uh, Combined with like it was something else that they did with PlayStation that they were like upset them. So then just shopping the game around, so PlayStation was like, fine, we're not working with you anymore. Uh, and that's where we got the Quarry, where it was released everywhere, and now they hired this new company to, or they're having this other company do Until Dawn 2.
From my understanding too, um, a lot of people did not like that movie.
Oh yeah,
So
the movie was bad.
it sounds like if you want to get into this, you might want to watch the movie first, then come to Until Dawn, and then Until Dawn 2. I have to say the same
Or
thing for Resident Evil. You might want to burn through those Resident Evil movies first,
oh yeah,
and then come to the games. 'Cause they're two completely different art styles, genres within the same name.
or you
But
gotta
go
go
ahead.
in knowing full well that like this ain't got nothing to do with the other. Like,
Yeah, and I think
don't.
it's easier when you separate the two like that, and don't watch one first, because if you play the game first and you decide to be almost a diehard fan of what that is, and then you go see the movie, you're probably just gonna be disappointed.
Yeah,
Um,
I was. Um. Also, it's weird though because there's supposed to be I guess, a relatively big reveal of a character in the movie.
hmm
Um. That you won't get the same effect if you haven't played the game, but also it's kind of a good thing because they kind of ruin it.
yeah,
So yeah, watch the movie first. I feel like the movie was fine if it's not an Until Dawn movie.
yeah,
That's what made it bad. Other than that, it was okay. Like it wasn't anything fantastic, but it was okay.
I could see people saying that about the Resident Evils too.
Yeah.
Um, Although some of the stuff, and there is a Resident Evil movie coming out too that's supposed to be of
Oh
a
yeah.
whole nother
So
way of looking at it.
I know
Yeah.
some people are also upset with that. They said Zach Kreger's doing it as like, um, if a player was just kind of dropped into the world. That's supposed to be the idea. Now, for me, as much as I know a lot of people are concerned, I'm a big fan of Zach Kreger. Um, so I trust. I'm gonna probably enjoy the movie. Like I like pretty much all the things that he makes.
Okay.
So we'll see. I'll be a fan. I'll be for sure seeing it. I'll let you know. And I'll think about it from two perspectives. Like, what would a Resident Evil player or fan think, and then just overall, how's the movie?
Okay. All right. So a real divide happened with this. Their grand finale, which I actually thought, I think when it comes to PlayStation shows, it should probably be more like this going forward, where their last thing that they're showing, actually has some weight to it. You can actually show some stuff, but
Yeah,
they claimed in the very beginning they were going to show you about 20 minutes of gameplay here for a new God of War game, and they didn't really tell you it was God of War at the beginning. They just kind of let you figure it out with the music, and then throwing Santa Monica Studios on the screen, so that builds some hype up. And then you got Faye's game, and so how you say her name? LaFay?
LaFay. Yep.
LaFay.
LaFay.
And so it's God of War, where you might, for the first time ever, primarily not play as Kratos, and you
Yeah.
play as his second wife, LaFay, in her story as she's, I'm assuming, traveling to meet her maker, maybe.
So yeah, the idea for the game is she dies as she's supposed to be in Norse, like, heaven. But she wakes up in just some weird afterlife where the other gods from other myths are trying to vie for control. And she's trying to fight her way back to the proper resting ground.
Yeah, so it was interesting take. The main things that I was paying attention to was the combat. I did like what I was seeing. They had a little bit more focus on air combat, similar to Devil May Cry, but not necessarily the same. I did like that there was a good parry system here still. And the part that I'm gonna be honest, this had me falling flat a little bit. The secondary and thirdary, I guess, characters that are going to be with you,
I like them.
It fell flat for me because it took a moment where it was supposed to be somewhat serious, because I actually felt that tone for a second until you just had this like blob of jello or whatever it was
gelatinous cube, man.
with the sword in it, and it's talking and stuff, and
the ribbons are talking.
it threw me completely. That took me out of it almost immediately.
That's fair.
Because it was so out of place. Like if it was because when they showed the little animal thing too, like I kind of thought to myself, okay, this is classic PlayStation again.
Yeah.
Where we got to have a secondary or third person there to talk and stuff, which I think you don't need.
Yeah.
But they feel like you need it, I guess. And it was just their choice here, just like the sword or the ribbon on the sword, I kind of got because of Atreus having somewhat similar the same thing, only with Atreus it didn't actually speak English.
No.
It didn't speak right. It was just kind of Nintendoing along a little bit, and here it was just like this jello. It was just
yeah.
And I was just like, what the heck? And it was fighting with you, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, I like that. So as the Dungeons and Dragons player, one of the popular pretty much enemy things that you fight are gelatinous cubes. Mm-hmm. So they exist. I'm used to them. I think it was both out of place and not out of place. Mm-hmm. I think in terms of the tone, like you were saying, right, where everything was so serious, and then you had a cube fly across the screen and smack something in the face, that becomes like, all right, well, what are we doing?
What is happening?
So, although I like the combat, I could see like it does ruin the tone. Now, with that said, though, the first two gods that you run into, one is a Buddhist god, and then the other one's an Egyptian god. Right, the girl one was the Egyptian god, the one that flew off. Which in my head, I'm gonna be honest, when it was like that explosion portal open, and she was like, "I'll be back." In my head, I was like, "That's Kratos," but she flew off. And then the other one was the Buddhist god, the big red one. That Faye was just like, "I'm gonna kill you." But that's why. So it's like I think everything's supposed to be coming from all these different mythologies.
Yeah.
Which is where I'm interested to see where the cube and the ribbon comes from. Like with Smith, because I was trying to look it up, I didn't find anything. But of course that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Yeah. So I think that's where I don't see it as out of place in terms of just you're gonna get all of these different sort of things. So I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up fighting some like yokai and some like Native American mythology and things like that, like a Wendigo. Just to see what different things. But I don't like as you mentioned, the constant, you need to have companions because there needs to be nonstop talking.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes I could just be in the world, look around. Like I would have preferred the stress of her having to be by herself. Like
yeah, because I know when you're playing just sideline content in Ragnarok, it was just constant. Like, let's tell a story. This is what's going on.
The moment you start rowing, it was a story. And as soon as you get out the boat and you're about to fight, kind of just goes, hold that thought. You get into the fight, and then the moment the fight's over, he continues the story. And I'm just like, quiet.
Yeah. So that's the part. And to be honest, that I think that deters a lot of people the most from the game. Now everybody I'm sure still played everything to completion, and I did too. But
Oh yeah.
That type of thing was the thing that turned me off about Ragnarok. And the second thing that turned me off around it was when we found the light spoilers, but it's not really spoiling the story. The squirrel thing that just like crawled over your body, like that
Oh,
thing
you didn't like that?
when
That's
he
a
was on
Norse,
the
I
tree.
think, thing. Yeah, the world tree. I think that's a Norse mythology thing. I
It
could be
just sort
wrong.
of
But I
it
think
just sort of took me out of it a little bit because it was just like so out of place. I wouldn't expect that from that, and it seemed like somebody who's like a serious manly man Kratos to all of a sudden just have this like squirrel talk to you and like crawl all over you and stuff, and he just kind of stand there. It's like it didn't make sense to me. Similarly here where we have this thing, because in my thought process, she has some magic. I did like the Doctor Strange move where you just push somebody out of their body into a spirit or whatever. That was kind of
yeah.
cool. But it had a serious tone until that happened. Now I could address some of the controversies. People were saying like, oh, this wasn't actually 20 minutes of gameplay, it was very cinematic. I was already expecting that. I don't know who else
Oh,
was.
yeah. Also, I thought it was labeled as like the first 20 minutes or like early 20 minutes,
Hmm.
and they're always cinematic for PlayStation.
um People were upset because it's not Kratos, and
Yeah.
there was
Oh,
rumors of this being a game a while back, and I remember one of the rumors, which might actually be confirmed, is that at some point you fight Kratos as a boss. And it's possible you might recreate her fight with Thor, which is within the lore. Light spoilers there as well. Which
okay.
I would imagine if you play in the game, well, it's like, well, you fighting Thor for the third time, though. I don't know if that's really that attractive, but
Yeah.
fighting Kratos as a boss is attractive. I could see that.
So,
Her having the axe might be attractive, but I don't know if they're gonna go there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So here's my other thing. I don't mind playing as her because of the story that it had. Now, I'm a big, of course, story
Hmm.
driven person. And if it was just like 10 years later and then there's just no Kratos and you're now in like Egyptian territory, blah, 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 and here's this new character for like the God of War, then I would have been upset, right? Where it's just like, what is this? But because it's taking like extremely parallel to the first game, they said, right, the moment they send the body to the afterlife and then it's just running parallel with the game, in my head it feels more story driven and it makes sense to me. So this is where I don't mind playing as her. And also, I personally, and I could be wrong, and then I'll have a criticism there, but I don't think you're like not gonna play Kratos like at all. Like I feel like there's gonna be some.
Yeah, I was going to kind of get to that because we were, I don't want to say forced, but we had a moment where we played as Atreus, right? That's
Yeah,
another spoiler, I guess. But we played as Atreus, and then plenty of criticisms where people were saying they didn't want to play that section or it was their least liked section. I
I
wouldn't be
didn't mind it as
surprised.
much
You didn't mind it as
personally.
much.
It wasn't my favorite. Like I'm not like, oh my god, this was amazing. I couldn't wait to play as him. It was just I thought I was gonna hate it a lot more than I did, but I enjoyed the like bow and arrow combat for it.
Hmm.
I always don't like because I think bow and arrows are cool, but I hate it in games when like if you're using a bow and arrow, that's all you can do is run and shoot the bow and arrow, and you can't do any sort of karate melee stuff. And he still could. I thought it was cool. I thought it was fine. Some of his sections were boring. I mean, the little like whatever horse ride around the town was like it was very boring. But I thought his like fight scene stuff that they did later on, I thought it was fine.
If they throw in a section where you play as classic Kratos from 2018, it's funny I say that's classic, but that version of Kratos with Atreus as a little boy next to you for just like one quick section, maybe some cut content from one of the earlier games, like that will be enough nostalgia bait and enough to get people to kind of calm down if they do that. It'll help stretch the game a little bit too. But yeah, I could see them doing that. This game does open up the can of worms a little bit, because to me, you don't make a game featuring her and don't make an Atreus game. So I would imagine that there's got to be an Atreus game at some point. But
maybe unless they feel like his sections in Ragnarok was enough. I doubt it. I think you're right.
They alluded to it, like, I don't want to spoil too much because I know I've been saying a lot, but it just seems like, well, he would have his own thing. To me, at first, I thought it would be a DLC to Ragnarok, and you just keep playing as the kid. But I could see them, deviating off more there, because there's only so much you can do with Kratos. But they did confirm, because people were complaining, they were saying there will be future games where you play as Kratos, and the one that everybody kind of knows about is him being in Egypt, right? And so,
this leads into it, because when that god was like, that portal opened and she was like, I'm gonna go see what that is, you stay here, and she leaves, she's the Egyptian goddess, and in my head I was like, for that portal I was like, that's Kratos. So I imagine maybe it could be something where it ties into a game where something happens and we see Kratos fighting her. In my head too, I was wondering if, like, I know they said it runs alongside the 2018 game, but I was wondering if, like, the time runs parallel, or maybe like time in the afterlife thing moves slower, so that's where, like, you get like an older Atreus and a slightly older Kratos, like, entering that world to fight gods and run into like a younger ish Fae. I don't know, I'm interested to see where it goes.
Yeah, I would still be there relatively day one just to play it. I'm not gonna just hate on it and criticize it. We'd only seen one thing, right?
Yep.
But the way it seems to me, they have a formula where they're putting out something overall every 4 or 5 years, and so if that's the case, I can see the God of War game. I actually think probably like Tomb Raider, they probably have this and the God of War game going simultaneously. So you might see that one more sooner than later, and then you might just get an Atreus game. But I don't think all of that is coming this generation. Some of that might be definitely in the next generation. But I'm here for it. I want to see it, as long as it don't deviate too much. But at the same time, we still got to remember they're also either remaking or remastering the original 3. So there's a lot of content and a lot of money invested in the Santa Monica studios, and so you're gonna have some God of War content for a while. And then they're still doing the movie adaptation or TV show adaptation at some point, right? So there's content. There is content for this.
I think I know how they're gonna do the Thor fight. Sorry.
Go ahead before we move forward.
I forgot. Spoiler, right? For those that haven't played it, but Thor dies. Right? And this is supposed to be the afterlife, so if everything's messed up and people aren't going to the correct afterlife,
okay,
Thor's probably going to end up there, but that means you're also probably going to rerun into, what was his name? Was it Sindri?
Okay.
Was he the one, or the other one?
What's his name?
Sindri was the one that stayed alive and just got mad. Yeah, Brock. You'll probably run into him again, which, if you said she's going to be using the axe, that could be a reason she gets the axe. We'll have to just wait and see.
The hammer stayed with the daughter, so I don't know if that's the case. Yeah, you can. That's a good analogy. You can see maybe they both get their weapons for whatever reason. But okay, that was State of Play. We went a little long on State of Play, but cool stuff there. Some mixed reactions here and there. But I'm pretty sure even with the people who call themselves not liking it, they're going to be showing up day one for some of these titles.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Some of these other things we're going to go through a little bit quicker because I ain't write down everything that...
let's talk about Dragon Quest next.
You said what?
Let's talk about Dragon Quest next.
The 9 minutes, go ahead.
I got nothing.
I was going to say, like, I didn't write nothing, but go ahead. All right, yes.
That was it. I ain't got nothing. It was a good, like...
They threw a 9-minute thing out there for the Dragon Quest, and I am interested in those HD remakes. I have the one for Part 3. I will be getting the 1 and 2, but the newer stuff is, I'll get to it eventually. Is we got so many franchises. I'm not writing it off completely, but it's just not for me for right now. Now, if I go back into the showcases, chronological order, the first thing that came up actually was a showcase called the French Direct Springs 2026 showcase. And what's funny about this is actually when you come down this list a little bit, and I don't really like this honestly, and we can keep the politics out of it, but it almost seems like each one has something that was either pertaining to race or sex.
Oh
How
yeah.
it was deviated a little bit, or your culture a little bit. Where to me, it's just, well, it's a game is a game, But they had a French Direct here. From this Direct, they had a few different things, but I really, I wrote down. Let me see, because I scribbled over this. Well, I'll mention this real quick. Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced showed up here.
Oh yeah.
And this is actually right around the corner. July 9th, 2026. Did you see this? Did you like this or write
I
this
did.
down?
I didn't write it down. I didn't want I have no reason to get it. I had my particular Assassin's Creed games I was into. Well, the pirate one is cool, and I'm happy they went all in on it. It wasn't one that like particularly interests me, but I know a lot of people had high hopes for that one. I believe there was some issues when it first came out, so it's good that this one is getting the like. I think it's coming out the way it should have.
Okay.
Now.
All right, I figured out what my scribble was. I had to search it real quick in Steam. So, almost everything that was not first party, I pretty much wishlist under Steam. But the first game that I actually had was Silent Planet. I believe Elgie of a Dying World. This is a Metrovania 2D game. Obviously, I'm into those, the hack and slash and types, Game Boy Advance looking graphics type games. I will say though, in this, it was actually very late in the show. I didn't have much early on. Sorry, I had the music on it. But they did mention it was going to come out Q2 of 2027, so it's a ways out. But yeah, that was one of the first things that I had, but it was very late in the show. Did you have anything here?
I had one. I only got one thing from the show.
Go ahead.
It was called Calamy. It might have been earlier shown, but it's my style of game. So it was the turn-based grid, like tactical game.
Okay.
And it was like almost like very like hand-drawn aesthetic, and it looks very story-driven. We have a bunch of different types of warriors, and it's just the grid-based battle. But that was like the only thing that kind of caught my eye for the whole show.
Okay, I wrote down Castlevania's Belmont's Curse. That was something that I had already had wish list for a while. The other thing that did stand out to me here was called Fading Echo. This is a 3D action adventure game that does have a demo, and there's some like weird shape shifting kind of thing you got going on where you kind of turn into a ball, I believe. So I wrote that down. A game called Nocturnal, Q2 of 2026, which we are at Q2 of 2026. So I'm like, is that coming out sooner or later? Like, when is that coming out? And then that was really it for this show. I didn't have from too much. I just still thought it was odd that they were kind of, changing the names and stuff based on culture and race. But when I looked down the list, that's really what it was.
Yeah.
Which is a whole thing in itself. All right.
In a lighter note, I guess it's more just like, hey, the type of games that this region's working on, and the type of games that this region. I don't see the purpose, but yeah.
All right. Well, Insider Gaming Showcase May 2026.
Okay.
That was an interesting name. I don't know what was insider about this, but what I got from this was one title that was called Unga Land where you
Yeah.
literally play this little monkey man that's kind of a platformer and action adventure. It's almost like Black Myth Wukong when he was a child. It's like that's what it
Yeah.
was. And that was literally all I got. That was all I have for
Okay.
it.
I got a few, but I'll only like kind of focus on a couple of them.
Yeah.
One thing that I wanted to point out that I really liked was their
Hmm.
comic book art style preview. So right before they would show off like 5 games, it was like a
Hmm.
comic page, and it would color in the one that they're about to show. I just thought it was a cool aesthetic. Um, but the ones that I'll bring up, first one was Toy Punk. It's a roguelike looter shooter where you look like a Muppet.
Okay.
Which was really cool. I noticed like I'm starting to get into the roguelike games, so I thought that was cool. I'll bring up one that I just wanted to point out. It's called Becoming Pablo, where you're like, it's a strategy, like real time strategy. It looks
Yeah.
sort of game. Maybe not real time. I don't think there was anything like happening in timing, but it was one of your like click around stuff. But basically, you're trying to make a criminal organization. Uh, so I guess it's
Is
Pablo
it like
Escobar.
a yeah? Is like is that like copyright or they just kind of played it off?
I
Like,
guess Pablo. They didn't say becoming Pablo Escobar. It just says becoming Pablo. It's just his likeness is purely coincidental.
yeah.
Yep. But the other ones that I'll bring up, which this popped up on a few shows, but I'll mention it here. Monster Mercs. I thought
Okay.
was interesting. It's a team game, where you go through. It's like a shooter, like action game, I think, where you're taking down like contracts, but you also turn into monsters to like fight as well. So it's like you're hunting monsters, and you can become the monster. Uh, I thought
Okay.
that was pretty cool. So those are like the three. The one other thing I just wanted to bring up that I thought was cool. It's called Malice in Wonderland. It looked like a hack and slash sort of thing, but it was of course a play on Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
Uh, which isn't the first Alice in Wonderland game that's gone violent.
Hmm.
Uh, there used to be like an older game that I can't remember the name, but it was like Alice something. Uh, it was an old school game,
Yeah.
but Alice Madness Returns. That's what it used to be called. And these were also very like violent. Like even the cover of it shows like it's supposed to be Alice, and she's like on her apron. There's like blood on it, and she's holding a big like kitchen knife. Oh yeah, they have like they're constantly making her extra violent. So I might actually check that game out.
All right. Well, it's cool that you got a bunch of stuff from this.
Yeah.
The next showcase is actually where I got a bunch of cool stuff. So the Mix Summer Game Showcase. This one claimed to have over 60 exclusives that they showed.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was really the case. I only wrote down, a few things, but I gotta say, you already know I gotta give a shout out to my guy Justin and his wife Candace Woodward.
Yeah.
Um, Cause they be putting in work, man. I just noticed, and I always think like, man, they probably got the dream little setup. Cause you like right there with your spouse or whatever, and y'all both into the games, and y'all get to, be a part of a lot of different showcases and stuff. And so he
Yeah.
was here on this one, and I know he shows up in another one too. And he probably showing up in some more shows today.
I
but
also always find it funny. I'll bring it up real quick.
yeah,
That he showed up live action for this one, and that he was animated for the Black Voices one.
yeah, I was like, he turned into like some sort of 16-bit or whatever. He was a whole
Yeah,
nother thing. And I'm like, did that cost money? Like, did that cost
maybe,
money to do?
or
Because
I
he could
think he
just
might. Maybe he just recorded his lines in like a studio real quick instead of being able to just sit in front of a camera.
it could have
Oh,
been a Snapchat filter too, something
that
like
too.
that. Because they be doing those. But yeah, they were there. I did notice one thing, and I don't know if you caught it. So in the title for the show, it was saying over 60 exclusives, or maybe it was in a thumbnail. But when they actually got onto to being the host, they said over 50 new games. And
Yeah.
I was like, well, what happened to the other 10? Like, I don't know if anybody caught that, but I caught that. But I did get some cool stuff. The first thing I want to mention, funny enough, because I was one of the people who bought the little remake or whatever, but they had a game called Wild Blue Skies.
First one I wrote down.
And this is the only way I can describe it is a clear, cut and dry Star Fox ripoff.
Bro,
That's the
I
only
wrote
thing I
it
can say.
like as the first one that I wanted. It was Wild Blue Skies, and I wrote, "We have Star Fox at home."
Yeah, Star Fox ripoff for sure. It comes out August 13th, 2026. Funny enough, like if you're really into that Star Fox game when that comes out, you could probably play this next and go find Chorus, a game called Chorus that's out there that was about a few years ago. That I believe is multiplayer that you can play if you're really into these type of games.
Okay.
But yeah, this is more of a spaceship shooter ish type title. So that is again August 13th, 2026. The next thing I had was called Dusk Fade. It's
Okay.
a 3D action platformer type title. This one has a demo, so you can go out there and check it out for yourself. One thing I want to mention, as we have like a billion shows, I still appreciate there being a nice plethora of demos, especially from these smaller shows.
Yes.
Because you get to just really try this stuff. It's like when you really add all these demos together and have like a computer or something and you're playing things back to back, it's almost like you are just playing just a ton of new games, you know?
Yes.
And so you can really get to try a lot of stuff out. And so I do appreciate that from a lot of these shows. Anything you want to mention before I mention the rest of mine?
Yeah, so I have one more that I wanted to point out. Even though Dust Fade was on my list, I had mainly only two that I really wanted to point out, and it was the Wild Blue Skies, and then the other one was called Canyons, which I imagine might be on your list. You're a
Hmm.
cowboy and you're fighting zombies, and it looked very similar to that one game we played where we were fighting the vampires,
Okay.
as the two cowboys. But it was more action, and this one was more shooter. But the
Yeah.
aesthetic was very similar. And funny enough, I noticed when I was watching on YouTube because I went back to go get the name, and Canyons was the whole most replayed part. So
Mm.
a lot of people was like, "Whoa, what's that?" But yeah, those are the two that I mainly want to point out.
Okay. I didn't have that on my list, but I did have a couple extra things here. One of them was Kirk Mephisto. I think I said that right.
Mephisto, yeah.
Mephisto. 3D action fighter type title. So go check that out, anybody. Blades of Mirage. This was a top-down action adventure game. And then Raji K, I believe it's called, which was a 3D action, close combat, strong closing for that show. I think that was the last thing that was on the show. Good combat and yeah, that's all I really have from that. But
Okay.
I had a little bit of some titles there for that show, so I appreciated that one. Still a lot of shows, right? So the next thing that I have is called Midsummer. It's funny because Mid is what it was called, but Midsummer Nights Screams, a horror game awards showcase.
It's a play on the famous Shakespeare play *Midsummer Night Dream*.
Okay, because
My favorite play by him.
you
So
know how the
*Midsummer Night
internet is. They're gonna be
Screams*.
like, "Oh, it's the Mid," but no.
I mean, though, but like, it was.
So yeah, I ain't have really much here, but I will say one of the things I did have was a game called Baptiste.
Okay.
Um, it had a puppet on there. It almost looked like the puppet from Goosebumps. It took me back for a second. And that was yeah. Most of this is all horror stuff, but yeah, that was one of the first things I had. I only had like one other thing, but what did you got?
I had one game that I liked and one that I wanted to make fun of.
Okay.
The one that I liked, it came at the like end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
The Mound Omen of Cthulhu. So it was like a team shooter with a bunch of zombies ish like horror monsters. Not really zombies, they were more like eldritch, just monsters. and it showed them like one would like grab a person, another person had to come up and stab it, and then they were like shooting, and they had sort of old school guns because it's medievalish kind of time. But yeah, that one looked cool.
Okay. The other one I had was called Blighton. It was a old school PC looking first person shooter. Still shooting, your Doomish type things, but yeah, I just wrote that one down. That was one of the only other things I had. Pretty mid show, pretty mid
Yeah.
summer.
Did you see
Nice
the
screen.
fake control game?
I think,
We got control at home. It's called
yeah.
Psycho Dead, and it was like Asian girl instead, but instead of red hair, she had a red leather jacket, but she was dressed pretty much the same way as the control lead one, except her jacket was red instead of her hair being red, and her hair I think was black instead of her jacket being black, and she also was shooting monster horrors in an office building while also using telekinesis. Like it looked like control. Like she telekinetically pulled a box to smack something, and then was like shooting, and it was all these eldritch horrors, and it's an office building, and it just looked like indie-ish, but like it just looked like control. Like it was just like, oh, we have control at home.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a no for me. That was a no for me.
Oh yeah, it was bad. It was
Um,
definitely a no. It was just I saw it. It just kind of was like this. Just looks like control.
all right. So the next thing is the best indie games summer showcase. Funny enough, this name sounds so similar to the indie show from maybe 2 weeks ago or something.
I got a
But
complaint.
go ahead. What was the
And I think you
complaint?
know what it's going to be. 4 hours. It needed to be 4 hours. Like, it was just like when I clicked on it, because I was loading up a few, so like watching at the same time, and I just saw the time. I was like, four? Why is
Yeah.
it four? And
Yeah,
like they
man.
broke it into three sections that honestly should have just been three separate videos, to be real. Because there was no reason for it to be four.
Yeah, and the funny thing, because we say this every year, these gaming showcases, if you spread them correctly, there's two solid shows that you could have every month, and
Yeah.
everything will get, the proper show that it deserves. But when
And
you
let's be
cram it
real.
all in, like, yeah,
An hour and 20 minutes of outright now. Later, like give it a week or so, and then you do your coming out in 2026, and then like probably next month or at the end of the month, that's when you do your coming out in 2027. You didn't need to do one 4 hour show of all of it when there was 11 other shows that happened this week before we reached the stuff that happened Saturday and today. Like just from Monday to Friday, there was 11 shows. You didn't need to bust out a 4 hour one.
one thing that I did notice too when I was looking at the stuff, this was one of the shows where they were trying to get you to pay attention to games that had already been out for some years, but
Yeah,
you probably just didn't know because you probably overlooked, and they were just like, well, now you get to see it again.
but also you put it in a format where it's probably going to get overlooked again because the show's 4 hours.
Yeah, it
Like people are
was.
going to zone out or do it. Like 4 hours is long enough to be like, I'm going to put this on in the background. Right? Where the other one's like an hour and a half. It's like you can really sit down and watch those. But a 4 hour thing is really, I'm going to put this on in the background. So it's like you're giving it a shot to get ignored again.
What's funny too is I'm a big like I'm guilty at doing this. Whenever there is shows or something that's just a little too long, I almost do use it as being in the background, but I'll be off somewhere, not even looking at the screen. Like I'll be cooking or doing dishes or
Yeah.
something. Like I'll be doing like chores. Like that's you're not even sitting there looking at the show. But yeah, all right. First game I actually got on this was Dark Queen of Samabor. It's my standard, side scroller, 2D or 2.5D, hack and slasher. I liked how this one looked. It says it's coming out in 2027. So we're just gonna have to wait on that a little bit, but it's a hack and slasher, no different than anything else. Did you grab something from this show?
I grabbed a couple things. There was one that was shown a lot through a few shows and came up before. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but that Tawada Brava game, we had to see
Okay.
more of the gameplay for it. It was like the cartoon turn-based, like, liberate yourself game. Um, the other one I'll bring up, TCG Card Shop Simulator.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna. This is not something we're gonna get. But basically, you're like running a card shop, and I just want to point out a scene where like people are like at tables playing game, and you walk up with deodorant and spray one of the people because he stank. Because like you're managing a card shop, so you got your stinky people.
That's crazy.
Oh, and it was just but it's like the fact that this is constantly a joke, but some people still
Nah,
show
it's
up
serious.
smelling bad, and it's just like we keep saying it, bro. Like fix it. Like we're directly calling you out. Fix it. Like
Yeah.
stop showing up stanking. But
This is
yeah, I
the
had two
time of
other
the year
games
too
too.
where I just definitely want to
Uh
be
huh.
in the shower, nice cool shower too.
Yep.
All right, Awaken Astral Blade. This one
Okay.
is actually, same stuff. 2D indie Metrovania hack and slasher, maybe some little bit of difficulty. But this is one of the games that's actually been out. This was out October 22nd, 2024. They threw it out there. They did put a sale on it though. They're saying it's 50% off. It's at $12.49 right now.
Hmm.
I just put it on the wish list. It does look great. I'm not really too pressed on just grabbing it right now, but it was one of the things that they showed. So I actually I wrote it down. Now it does have actually a very high or very positive reviews on Steam. It looks like it's hovering around 82 to 84% on Steam, which is
Okay.
typically good with a decent amount of reviews, which looks like it's 1,071 reviews.
Good.
So this should be a good buy. This is something that screams Rogue Ally or Steam Machine for me. But yeah. All right. Anything you got?
Lane split. It's
All right.
a racer where you're on a motorcycle and it's first person, and they were going fast and weaving through cars. And the last scene is them turning a corner, running headfirst into a car, and it just goes black. Instead of you seeing the accident, like caught me off guard, but it looked cool.
All right. Barbarian Sage, the Beastmaster.
Okay.
This one is, your 2D slash type game. Same old for me at this point. It does have a demo. I do think I'm gonna try my hardest when I have off days to play like one demo, and start putting that out like every other week or something. Because now the
I've been
demos are
adding some
starting
of
to,
those
yeah, they're starting to
to that
catch up.
footage.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my other one. Now the last one, funny enough, is a game where I have the other two titles, but this is called 30XX. It looks like a Mega Man-ish type title. This one came out in 2023. Not new at all, basically at this point. But it was actually one of the last things that I had wrote down, but that's not new. I believe Epic Games gave out 20XX. That's how I have that one.
Okay.
And I don't want to be that guy, but I feel like, well, if they gave out that one, they might give out this one too.
Probably.
But yeah, that was the last thing I had though for this particular gaming showcase.
All right, for me, I had one more I was going to point out called Devil Lift,
Okay.
where you're fighting like demons and stuff. Now, but it's a deck builder, right? So you're playing cards from a deck, and that determines what your person does. But what was cool is that you're controlling two different people at the same time. So
Mm-hmm.
you're controlling two decks at the same time, which it's interesting that you have to do a deck builder where you're not only trying to get the best cards, but you got to make sure the two decks also work together. It's like a lot more strategy in a deck builder. So I'll be
Okay.
checking that one out.
All right. So I think that is the end of this show. So funny enough, we got still a lot of shows to go, but we're gonna make it quicker. But I do actually want to take a quick detour and take or talk about Epic Games real quick, where we highlight some of their stuff that they like to give away for free and some sales and or news at the same time. So the games that they have this month, one of them is called Rogue Waters. That's available right now until June 11th as of this recording. And then Songs of Conquest. I don't know anything about either one, but that's what it is for this month as far as or this week. And then next week, they didn't make it mystery games, so I guess maybe they know or they had the deal in place. So from June 11th to June 18th, one of the titles is called The Ouroboros King, I believe. I don't know too much about that one. And then one of the Warhammer titles, Warhammer's 40K Speed Freaks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Freaks. Not with an A, but two E's. But yeah, so go check that out. Free is free. You don't have to, have a credit card to go claim these games. You can just create a profile, claim them, and then once you do get a Steam machine, not a Steam, some machine, you'll be able to play all this stuff. All right, any games or any releases coming from Amazon real quick?
Yeah. So, you know how Epic gave away Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 remastered?
Yeah.
Well, Amazon's giving away 4, 5, and 6 remastered. Through right. Epic. So you get it from there and it adds to your Epic library. And then Mafia 3 again, and then XCOM Chimera Squad.
Okay.
And then later, we're getting Space Grunts Chrono Shard. Please touch the artwork. Terraforming Mars and Lost Eidolons, Veil of the Witch. Yeah, those are the games that are coming this month. I feel like I'm missing some. Here we go. Tested on Humans Escape Room, Sin Slayers Reign of the 8th, G.I. Joe Wrath of Cobra, Paradise Killer, Between Time Escape Room. So they've been giving a lot of escape room games. Sugar Dew Island, War Game Construction Set 3, Age of Rifles 1846 to 1905. Space Grunts 2, Space Grunts Chrono Shard. Those are all the games.
All right, I don't want to deviate too much, so I'm going to keep this nice and short because there's not too much on this list. But I do also want to mention the June releases of video games that's coming out right now. And it's not really that much that I really want to highlight, but I'll highlight a couple names that are big. Dave the Diver in the Jungle, which I think might be the DLC for that. That comes out June 18th, 2026. A game that I actually played the demo for and I did like. The Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales. I might actually show the demos footage around the time this game released and come back and report on what the reviews are in that time frame in a couple weeks, because it was actually pretty good. You can play the demo. From my understanding, the content carries over into the paid version, and this is right now, I believe, a Nintendo exclusive. I might be wrong. It might also be on PC, but I don't think it's on the other consoles. That's also on June 18th. A lot of things here on June 18th. So also on June 18th is Hell Let Loose Vietnam. This is a war type title, obviously. And then UFC 6. So EA Sports UFC 6 is on June 19th. That follows up with Star Fox, that Nintendo game that they just announced. That comes out June 25th, 2026. Shout out to Nintendo for this, because they've been really accurate with this one thing where they'll announce something and then it comes out relatively quickly. I like that more than here's an announcement of something that's not coming out for like maybe 2-3 years or something. But yeah, Dead or Alive 6 Last Round, that's June 25th, 2026. And then the game that I mentioned earlier, Nocturne, I think this was different. Nocturne is June 30th, 2026. That's all I got as far as game releases. Oh, I almost forgot. Oh my gosh, I overlooked this one. NBA The Run. That's actually June
Oh
9th.
yeah,
So that's literally in a few days. Go check that out. I might look back at that and see.
competitor to 2K 3v3.
Yeah.
Almost like a street ball. Yeah.
All right. I do want to mention this, even though it probably was released in one of the shows that we didn't see yet. Um, I'll mention this and then we'll move on. The Asus ROG Ally, or ROG Xbox Ally Edition is getting an X20 version, which is supposed to be the 20-year anniversary limited edition model. And I had to really scratch my head at that because that's a long name. I was like, they haven't had no 20th edition of the Rogue Ally. And then I realized, no, it's actually the Xbox version of this. This is so this was just kind of mentioned. It's actually a bundle type thing too. So it looks very similar to the 20th edition Xbox controller, and I do have that controller where it's a translucent controller, like how the old school N64 controllers were. That type of design is more known with Nintendo, but Xbox has been diving into it recently. Interesting thing about this particular version, so it's still the Rogue Ally X, which retails for $1,000 by itself. But they are estimating this overall thing to be somewhere between 1,500 to 2,000 apparently. Because it comes also with the bundle. It's gonna come with the AR glasses. This is called the ROG X Real R1 Edition 20 AR glasses. That's a long title. But it's supposed to be able to, like, you put the glasses on. We talked about AR stuff before, but I haven't really dived into or bought that technology. But you're supposed to put the glasses on and it will display a screen for you up to 171 inches. You can buy the glasses standalone for $849 apparently. So that's a whole thing. The handheld is always a thousand, and then this thing about almost $900, and so maybe that's where we get this $2,000 price point. For the Ally X, also the screen is supposed to be slightly bigger, 7.4 inches, and it's an OLED display. They've updated the cooling and controls a little bit as well, so there are some slight upgrades here. If you are someone who had the original version, it's still a black model, but it has more of a green, little bits of green here and there, very similar to that controller. And it's translucent. The funny thing about it is the 20-year anniversary for Xbox, if I'm not mistaken, was 2 years ago. So I don't know why they going with that branding, but I guess 20 looks better than 22. But yeah, so any thoughts on this? Any thoughts on the glasses? Any of that at all?
Well, not really. Not gonna get any of it. Everything's so expensive.
Yeah, it is. I don't remember the glasses being that much, but I guess if they're doing 170 something screen, I guess that makes sense a little bit. It does, interesting enough, put you in this perspective where if you have this, then you've cut out the console, you've cut out the PC, and you've cut out your television.
Yeah.
And you've really simplified this down to not taking up any space at all, where you can sit there and you can look at it handheld on an OLED screen, or put the glasses on Matrix style, and then you just project this gigantic screen or whatever size screen you want. So it is very forward in technology. It's just, it is very expensive at the same time, but you'll be ahead of the game depending on what what you're doing. You will simplify your library down if you're sticking to just PC, but it's still a cool combo. I think it's still cool. I wear regular glasses, so I don't know how this would work with my face. I always tried to do that at the display in Best Buy, but it wasn't working that well, and I don't know if I would drop that kind of money if I can't get the clearness that I need. You know, based on me not having 2020 vision. But all right, that's enough of the detour. We can come back and let's actually pick up with the Black Voices in Gaming Showcase, where we see my guy Justin Woodward again, in his 8-bit, 16-bit, look or whatever. That's how he was at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
He just kind of came out of nowhere. Any thoughts on this show?
So, the game that I liked was something that I already brought up in a different show, the Netcode Warriors, where it just kind of looked like the old school, like Mega Man, Power Ranger sort of thing. And you like turn into a warrior and just fight stuff. Then my thing that I want to complain about, there was this game called Carrier Cuties, Pets, and Mechs, which popped up in another show where basically it was like a dog piloting a big black muscular guy in like a fighting game. And in the other one, when I saw the trailer, it wasn't something that like stood out as like a must get, but it seemed sort of like interesting. Like maybe if there's a demo, I'll try it out. And then this show actually showed off the gameplay, and to be honest, it just looked very boring.
Okay.
Like it was like, it's just your punching like shooter, kind of like a moving around boxing thing, but like everybody hits really hard, so you like fly across. And it was like this one stage you're inside of a fake Waffle House fighting, and I don't know, it just seemed like there wasn't like you fight and then you're able to put some upgrades on your character and then continue kind of. It just seemed like you just press square the whole time. I expected it to be a little bit more dynamic, I guess,
Yeah.
like something like maybe like the spring fist and like arms or like extra like powers stuff, but it just kind of looked kind of boring. But that was it. Other than that, it was like I ain't got nothing else from this show.
I did have the Netcode Warriors as well. Writing down that it was just a 3D fighter. I did write that one down, and then I mentioned, well, they mentioned that there will be a fall show coming soon. So I'll look out for the show in the fall. And yeah, that was all I have from this particular show as well. It wasn't too much
Dang.
for me to go off of, but I guess there was more developer talk here and there. Somewhat
What you
of
talked for so long?
interviews or whatever they were doing. Yeah, they kind of do that. But that was all I had. I didn't have too much else. Now moving along, this one was kind of squeezed in after the PlayStation show. Shacknews Indie Showcase 2026. Did you see that?
Yeah.
What you got from this show?
So, I got a couple things. They're redoing Backyard Baseball. And then, like, Voidling Bound and Toxic Crusaders, which you mentioned, and another one. But the main game that I really got one that I got excited for that was only here. And it was called Gedo Kaiju Battle. Where it showed, like, Power Ranger-esque, like, sort of thing fighting, like, a kaiju. It was 4 little ones. And they decided to fuse together. And 3 of them fused together, and the other one got stuck on the other guy. But it looked like you take these little kaijus, and you're able to like fuse them together and cause destruction. And that looked cool. What about you?
Honestly, it was just one thing. It was a dude who came on here, and he was talking about a game that was called Killer Aces Volleyball.
Okay.
Only reason, really, I never really had a volleyball game to my knowledge. And I thought I think he might have been the only developer for this, but it looked a little stiff, a little rough. But it was good enough for what I would consider volleyball. And it was, PvP or co-op, however you wanted to play it. And I thought, you know what, that's interesting enough. I'll write that one down. And that was really all I
did
had
have
for that.
one complaint about the show, though.
Okay.
It kept re-showing things in the middle of the show.
Yeah.
So, like, it was an hour and 40 minutes or something like that. And then, like, that Gedo Kaiju battle showed up, like, 2 to 3 times. And then a few other games, like, just kept re-popping up. later in the show. And it was just like, if you had to start repeating stuff, then you ain't need to make the show this long. Cut this bad boy back to 50 minutes. Like, why are we doing an hour and 40 and you have to repeat?
Hey, it is what it is, I guess. We can move forward to the Latin American Games Showcase 2026, with a host by the name of Estefani, I believe was her name. I didn't catch her last name, but I think she may have been the host of this once or twice. So I kind of want to keep her on here as well. They did mention real quick, because I thought this was interesting, they were going to have in December a Latin American Game Awards, where I'm going to imagine you got to be Latin American in order to qualify from the very beginning. They're probably just going to hand everybody an award, I guess. I don't know.
I wonder, though, not necessarily, because if you remember, they used to have, like, they were one of the shows where it was, like, all the fantastic indie stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it might just be doing a private award show for their own developers for, like, who wins stuff, since the games look great but weren't going to win at, like, no game awards sort of thing. Yeah. So I guess a smaller scale one.
Probably. We'll just have to see. All right. Well, the first thing that I actually did get from this was called Void's Rage. It's fast-paced hack and slash game. Nothing too crazy, just simply Void's Rage. Quantum Quartz, which I actually think might have been something I had wrote down at some point before. Tori Beyond the Gates. That one is 2D Metroidvania platformer. It does have a demo, so go check that out. And then Grim Trails, which to me looked like a Hades ripoff almost.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing I had was Shade Protocol. This is a hack and slash 2D action title. All right, what you got on this?
I got two. I got Bunraku or Bunraku. It was basically Samurai Smash Bros. So it was like these parchments fell and these cool kind of looking samurais popped out. They were like tiny, shadow faced, and but dressed like a samurai. And then the map was just a Smash Bros map, and they were like fighting. And then Beat the Champions. It was like soccer, but very anime styled in movement. So it looked like regular soccer, but they were like dashing forward, and they had like the anime effect and stuff. So it just looked like a cool, fast paced, slightly more interesting, just soccer.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's the show.
Yeah.
All right. So the women-led games showcase.
Yeah.
I will actually say, because I did not expect this, as bad as this might sound, there were actually games here. I did not expect them to have games, to be honest with you. I really expected them to just sit there and complain. And I know that's probably bad to say, but they had some titles. Funny enough, I was noticing a lot of it actually was horror games as well.
Yeah.
They did treat this like a real show. Their host name was Brianna White. Apparently she is one of the main actresses that's under Final Fantasy VII. We know Final Fantasy VII itself has pretty much a franchise of games within the game. But yeah, so I'm gonna be honest, on everything though, I still didn't really have too much. I just wrote down what we've seen before, which was 13Z. And that was really it. But they did show games. I have to give them that. They treated this like it was an actual gaming show, which I didn't expect. I wonder if we're gonna still have a Dames for games, or is this like the replacement or whatever?
Of course they're gonna have both. Like they want all of the shows, but it is nice that it felt like this felt more like when we were in the field of the Black Voices in Gaming, the women-led gaming, and then the Latin American game from a couple years ago where it was just trailers that were all great. and we feel like because of the name, it just kind of got overlooked. I feel like this is what this one felt like, where we're so used to it being just talking, and then this time they were like, "Here's some trailers," and it was like, "Oh, this is what it should have looked like."
Yeah.
But I
So
think
what you
my
got?
big thing is everything I had were games from previous that I liked. So it was 13Z, Toada Brava, and God's TV. But there was one more I'm surprised you didn't mention because I thought you would have wanted this. Barbie Horse Ride and Rescue, man. That's all for you.
Pause.
That's your
No, thank
favorite
you.
thing, right? Because like the horseback riding, that's your thing, right? You like
Horseback,
horses?
I guess.
Yeah.
Shout out to White Castle. I remember when people used to think that was horse meat.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Oh, but
all
I will
right.
point out if because we were talking about before the show, like playing your classic old games, right?
Mm-hmm.
If anybody ever gets a chance, it was a PS1 game, right? And try it before you like make judgments. But Barbie had basically a fake Tomb Raider game, and I remember when it was some magazine like a Game Informer thing that I got, and it just came with the disc of the Barbie. Like I think it was like a demo of like the Barbie Tomb Raider game, and for PS1 time, it was actually really solid. It was just Tomb Raider. It was basically just Tomb Raider. It was just painted with Barbie instead.
All right, we all know you got the collector's edition and the statue Barbie and everything. All right.
And now I gotta get horse ride and rescue.
All right. Now we get to the grand finale. The Accessibility Summer Showcase.
You trash. You trash for doing that.
To give context, I'm a black man with glasses. I got some gray shorts on, some black shirt on, whatever she was saying.
Yeah.
So
I'm black man.
that was the show.
Green hoodie. Oh, okay. I actually did get 2 games out of this. It was a lot of that, but to be honest, if you like play it while playing something else and just let it just play through, you do get some trailers without having to pay attention to just like. And this time they actually had a couple things that didn't just look like point and click.
Okay.
So I did get 2 actually from this. Hurdles, which it basically reminded me of PS1 Spyro, except you're a dog trying to collect sheep back into a pen instead of like trying to free dragons. But it was very Spyro gameplay where you're like that dash forward to run into stuff. The sheep roll into a ball and you grab them and like kind of shoot them into the pen and everything. You gotta run across the open world to like find them. It just really looked like Spyro, like real cool. Except it was just a dog herding sheep. So I thought that one was great, Hurdles. And then there's one called the Tennis Academy, which was like hand drawn
Yes.
tennis.
That was
Going
my
back and
only
forth.
pick. The tennis games is winning right now. I had to get the tennis game.
There
That
you
was
go.
all I
So
got though. That was my only
yeah, I only had those 2. It was a 50-minute show.
pick.
Like it was under an hour.
They
Which I think was
also
perfect.
mentioned they will be coming back soon in
Oh no!
in the
I mean,
next
yeah.
season. Or the winter season or something. They had a show, every 6 months or whatever. So we gonna be back to tell you about what we wearing for the day and all of
Yeah,
that.
I thought something that was rude. Just to point this out. Bro, I gotta get over this. But like for most of the people, when it showed them, it was like like she, her, and then it showed the name. Like it had pronouns and everything. And then this one came on, and it just had their name, and then they were just like, I go by they, them, but it didn't put the pronouns in the box. It just had the name and then called it a day. Like they didn't give that person the like setup that it gave everybody else in the
Probably
show.
was straight. That's why. Oh, you straight? I ain't about to put none of that on here.
Yeah. Well,
Straight
they were
white
not
male?
binary.
No.
They did the they them thing, and it just didn't put it. But that would have been crazy if it was like for straight. They
If
just
we
didn't even put
find
their
that out,
name.
that would be crazy. Actually, like we just not gonna mention that one. That's how they be acting sometimes. But that's an off air conversation.
Yeah, about to get us canceled.
All right. So I guess, after this main event, we had like a couple extra shows we can mention real quick. One of them was called the Summer Games Fest 2026. A little old show from a man named Jeff Keighley. Funny enough, though, I will say the show came and went pretty fast compared to some of the other ones.
Yeah.
It didn't drag, in my opinion. I didn't feel like I was just wasting time at all. But yeah, decent
Two
show.
things that I wanted to point out. Yeah,
Sure.
decent show. One was that I watched I didn't watch it live, but in the recording, it would like play and then just replay a certain part, but then the audio will go out of sync for a while. And then it would like eventually
Yeah.
like replay and then the audio goes back in sync. Like it was a really bad recording of it.
Halfway into it, they had some bad lip sync, and I don't think it was, obviously it wasn't on purpose, but they just
No.
kind of had to do what they had to do.
Yeah.
Um,
The co-host, his like new partner, the one girl, they was showing her some love, like from that crowd. Like they was cheering. She was cool. She has apparently a blog thing going out where she's pretty much just gonna be talking about like, here's a new game you might be interested in. And I think they're trying to do a thing where like if you sign up, you kind of select what type of games you're into, and they write about a lot of games, but will only like send ones that you're interested in or that they think you might be interested in. But like when she mentioned that she had that, it was like a crazy loud cheer that even caught her off guard. Like she was like, "Yeah, I'll be starting." It was like a blog thing called this, and then you just hear "Wow!" and she like stopped for a second and just like chuckled and was like, "Thanks," and then explained what it was.
yeah, I think
But yeah, they
the
were showing
other
her some love.
calls that they have that'll be on the Game Awards. I think she got a decent following, and she on YouTube too, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
I was actually mad at this show for a split second because they put their debut in the title, and so it actually kind of ruined the surprise for me. Even though we've heard rumors of what Resident Evil was doing. But one of the remakes that they were working on was announced here officially. Resident Evil Veronica, which is set to come out in 2027. This is actually a remake of Resident Evil Code Veronica, which was that one game where hardcore Resident Evil fans know about, but it was at the time lost in the sauce because it debuted on Dreamcast while Dreamcast was going out of business.
Yeah.
And so initially not a lot of people could play it, but then afterwards it got ported over. And then as people became more anchored into Resident Evil and going back in time, they were playing this game, but this one was actually supposed to be a mainline title, and called Resident Evil 3, but then they ended up doing Resident Evil 3 with Jill Valentine and Nemesis, infamous Nemesis. And so it just became like a sideline title that just kind of faded away initially, but we had heard rumors that they were remaking this, remaking 1, and remaking 0, from my understanding. And this was literally the main one that people wanted a remake for because of how it was a sideline title. And then some of these older Resident Evil games, have better or the tank controls ain't for everybody. I would say I've always heard Resident Evil 4 was like the Resident Evil for a lot of people. And it was harder for me to get into those tank controls, to be honest, that I was almost about to just drop it completely. I actually did. I dropped it completely to play the remake, but just didn't play the remake because I was still playing some of the other games. Liza P is one of them. I do look forward to this. As far as the story, it does fall right into the timeline of being right in between Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3. I played Resident Evil 2's remake with Leon, and I know the game is designed where you should play Leon and Claire Redfield. This game is centered around Claire Redfield, funny enough, even though it's called Veronica. They're using the character model from Resident Evil 2's remake with some touch-ups anyway, so I will be playing that in the order that I'm playing all the Resident Evil games, and I look forward to it. What are your thoughts on this?
It was a real cool reveal. Luckily, I didn't read the full title of the show, so it was a surprise for me.
Hmm.
Watching it, watching the trailer was like, oh, your brother like is here, and I'm like, oh, who are we talking about? And just watching, it was a nice, cool reveal for me.
Yeah, Resident Evil has their formula down packed, so they're just gonna keep pumping them out year after year, and I'm here for it. Um, the Mighty Cuphead Adventures 8-bit gameplay was shown a little bit, or it looks like
Hmm.
8-bit gameplay. Um, wasn't that a game, Cuphead, a game you wanted to play at some point? We just kind of just didn't do it. That's one of those
Oh,
games that's just out there that I haven't bought
yeah.
or anything, but
Yep.
I would be open
It's
to
the
it.
overly difficult
Yeah.
co-op game.
So my question is to you, because I've heard you say at one point, because you want to play this, from my understanding, but you don't want to play like Returnal.
I never said I wanted to play this Cuphead. I just said it was
Cuphead,
difficult.
didn't you want to play this? You asked me at one point, if I remember
No, I
correctly.
said because we've been playing Remnant, are we going to play this?
Oh,
I didn't want to play it. It was
I
just
mean,
I
if
was
you
wondering
want,
if I needed to watch out for a sale or something. Like, was this going to be on our list?
if you see one on the radar and you want to try it, I don't mind. Because at this point, Cuphead can be as low as $15 usually.
Yeah.
Because if I remember correctly, it was on PS4 in that timeline, so it should play on the the main systems and stuff, or it should still also be on PC.
Hmm.
Um, the 8-bit version looked attractive, and I'm pretty sure it might have its difficulty as well. But I might be taking a look at it at least for gameplay wise. Um, Alien Isolation 2 was shown. This got a
Yeah.
major pop. The first game a lot of people think is a very, very well put together game. And so they showed this. Blood Message was also shown here.
Hmm.
Um, a
That one
lot
looked cool.
of yeah, a lot of sword fighting. They're in an old world setting.
Mm.
I'm gonna check that out. This one, all right. The next thing got a quick laugh out of me, and it was somewhat of a head scratcher moment. Tupac came out of hiding and did some mocap in the studio over in Cuba,
Yeah.
and he is going to be featured in the game Stranger Than Heaven.
With Snoop
Uh,
Dogg.
and Snoop Dogg also is featured in this game. Funny enough, they aged Snoop Dogg in the game too. And it looked like an aged, up to date Tupac if Tupac was still alive. I don't know if anybody paid
Yeah.
attention to that. Um, Tupac came out on stage. He was like, "Yeah, he happy to be a part of it. He wanted to keep Tupac's name alive."
Yeah. Okay.
So this comes out apparently January 15th, 2027.
Mm.
They threw that out there.
Did you see Jeff Keighley call out Snoop Dogg on his game studio?
Yeah,
Where he was like,
yeah,
"What happened to Death Row Games?" Basically, and he gave a look and then was like, "Yeah, we working hard. We still working on stuff."
yeah, yeah. I guess we gonna see, some more of this type of thing from him. I would imagine,
Yeah,
some
I thought
CJ
when he
type
said he
stuff.
was going to do something and started a studio, my first thought was like, "Oh, he's gonna bring back Def Jam Vendetta or just the Def Jam games in general." That was
That
my
would
first thought is
that
that
would
he
be
was
the
gonna do
hardest
that.
thing to do just for licensing sake.
But it's Snoop
Um,
Dogg. I feel like he could get licensing, or at first it'll probably just be like people he's cool with.
yeah,
And then they work on licensing later. Like I feel like he has a lot of friends in the industry. Like it'll be him, Wiz Khalifa, like and a bunch of he even Tupac will probably be in there because he said he's been working with the like pretty much the family and everything, and that's why they were able to get him in the game. So I feel like it'll be easier for Snoop Dogg to convince like some of these people, if they're not held on the contract for likeness, Snoop Dogg to get some of these people in the game than it would be for like an EA executive to get these people in the game. You know what I'm
and then
saying?
he quietly get Biggie and don't say nothing, and then you could play as Biggie and play as Tupac and fight. and then piss
There you
off
go.
both of the families, and then neither one of them want to work.
I mean, you got to, right? Like, you got to
Uh,
be able to do that. Or he gets Tupac, and then you have a character creator. And you can make
yeah, and
Biggie.
you can make them, and he's like, you can scan any photo, and this would be his
Yep.
exact. And that's how they do it. All right, well, that's that. We'll see more on how that is. It will be very interesting if they get a very, very accurate AI voiceover or something of actual Tupac's voice.
That'd be crazy.
Because we're at
And what if
that
they
point
just get
now in
Jada to do it?
technology.
Jada.
Just make
do the
Jada
voice.
do it. Like they don't say nothing. They don't put her in the credits or nothing. But when you hear him talk, it's clearly her, and everybody knows it. But they just never, because she's like at her level of status. She never can get questioned on it because she's
Yeah.
like a celebrity that could disappear, and it just stays that way. And then it's just like it's be out for some years or something, and she just never admits. That'd be hilarious.
I'd laugh.
That'd be hilarious.
Oh, it'd be hilarious.
All right, Mortal Shell 2. They had like some beta footage. I know you was happy to see this.
Nah.
Shout out to Mortal Shell 2. I gotta finish Mortal Shell 1. Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Again, they showed this. Release date 7/9/2026. Interesting enough. So right before the bad lip syncing, they showed TMNT The Last Ronin teaser.
Yeah.
I almost thought that they were done with this project because we heard that they didn't want to do the movie because they want to do all the family friendly stuff.
Yep.
But I'd like to see that they are doubling down on this. It
Yeah.
is coming from the company that does do the Ninja Gaiden games.
Yep.
So
And
keep that in
Paramount.
mind. Yeah. So hopefully this is a smash hit. I remember initially they were saying the combat was supposed to be God of War style, so we'll see.
Okay.
And then at this point, yes, there was a lot of bad sync with the audio and video. But the next thing that I have, because I think so, there are things here that while was bad sync, there was like 2 or 3 other titles that I unfortunately did not write down that actually was shown to the live audience, and then everybody else saw trailers that was released on the channel afterwards, but I didn't write it down. Somebody else was mentioning it. It was some bigger names that was still here where it was some sequels and stuff, but it wasn't like you didn't miss too much basically. But the next thing that I have is Gundam Rogue Orbit 2027 release. Anybody out there that's into the Gundam type games,
That was one of my highlights.
Control Resonant. We've mentioned this already again. September 24, 2026. And then the funny thing about it is it didn't fall flat for me, but when this was the big reveal in my head, I thought we were going to continue going, and then they just kind of ended the show. But Final Fantasy VII Revelation, the third game in that mini series within that title, within that franchise, set to come out in 2027. Day and date on all platforms, which is also including Nintendo Switch 2 from my understanding. Which before we've seen Final Fantasy be notoriously only a PlayStation thing. They were very hesitant on putting it anywhere else, and then it became from that to PlayStation and Steam or PC a little bit later on, and then finally at the last minute they was like, okay, let's port it to Xbox. Let's try to make a version for the Switch. Well, they're saying this other one, you'll be able to catch right up and play on all platforms. The other 2 games are available right now on all platforms too, if I'm not mistaken. Final Fantasy VII Remake or any of the other stuff that I have mentioned. Any thoughts on any of that?
No, a lot of stuff was cool. You did jump over a bunch of other stuff, though.
I did. Go ahead.
Yeah, there was a lot. So I won't mention everything. Some of the stuff was like, redos, but some of the things that I wanted to highlight. They finally got more of a trailer for Blood of the Dawnwalker, which comes out in September. Which is a cool looking vampire game I'm excited for. Among Us got a story mission now, or a story game. I'm surprised you didn't mention the Hot Wheels game, Infinite Rush.
I may have glanced over that. I may have
All
just
right.
glanced quite
Also,
literally.
they're doing Attack on Titan 3 now, which is supposed to be all of it. They're just like get the full anime
Yeah,
story.
we'll see.
Wolf Among Us 2 finally got its trailer, and they're gonna be remastering the
I,
first Wolf Among Us for December.
I did see that. Yeah, I
Yep.
did see
Stellar
that.
Blade is getting a sequel called Blood Rain.
Okay. Maybe
Which
you
looks
are
pretty cool.
watching. Maybe you didn't watch the feed that I watched because I did mention like some stuff has sequels. So you must have
Oh
saw.
yeah.
I
Mine had
saw the
everything. It
last.
just kept re
Okay, so
it was
maybe the
still
one you
recorded
saw
bad.
they fixed slightly there. I
Okay.
don't know. So you got the stuff I didn't get. Okay.
Yeah, but it was still recorded back. Like it would go out of sync, but like it would like
Mm-hmm.
play. Like for example, TMNT Last Ronin. For example, it would like play. Or you know what? It happened for Stranger Than Heaven. It was a part where he walks into like a bar scene and he's like talking to them,
Mm-hmm.
and then it like stops and then restarts the bar scene from the beginning, and then the audio's out of sync for a while until
Mm-hmm.
eventually at some point a thing replays and the audio gets back in sync. So whatever they edited together, I
Yeah.
got the
So
full thing.
somebody got fired. Somebody
Yeah.
definitely got fired.
There's another game that's coming out that I'm both interested in, but I'm upset what they're doing with it, and
Okay.
it's Saw Genesis. So Saw is getting a video game. So they had like it was funny. He was Jeff Keighley was on stage, and then Billy the
Mm-hmm.
Puppet comes rolling out, and then he's like, "I want to play a game." And Jeff was like, "Well, that's great because we're doing the Summer Games Fest." And then he just like rolled the footage, and it showed the trailer for the game. It's cool that Saw is getting a game. I'm a big fan of the Saw franchise. My
Mm-hmm.
only thing is it looks like it's going for the more Dead by Daylight playthrough, where
So
I think
maybe I
this should have
fell
been
asleep.
way more. This should have been way more of like an Until Dawn sort of thing with like quick time events and story driven to try and get out, or even if it's procedurally generated, but like you trying to get out of traps with like quick time stuff. Instead, it's like a 3v1 game. And
Okay.
I'm interested in like, what do you mean by the one? If you're supposed to be escaping traps, does the person have to set up the traps in real time while you're trying to get through the trap? Like, I can see even if it was like again procedurally generated, and the three of you have to figure out how to get out, like an escape room. I don't understand the V1 part
Okay.
of Saw because Saw is not like he's not hunting them down while they're trying to do stuff. So yeah, I'm not understanding exactly what they're going for in the game. So we'll have to see.
For
Uh,
anybody
yeah.
who is curious, you might could find this either at a local mom and pop or if you go to eBay first. There was a Saw game that was released in 2009 that
Mm-hmm.
was, if I'm not mistaken, on the Nintendo Wii.
Mm-hmm.
And then, or it was supposed to be on the Nintendo Wii, but that one got canceled. It was on the PS3 and the Xbox 360 and the PC, from what I can see here. If you want, you can, go find a version of that and see if you might be into something like that. But yeah, I just want to mention that for that type of
Yeah.
game.
There's also another series that's on the 3DS that's not Saw, but apparently very similar. To like a group trying to escape stuff, and you're like doing like puzzles, and it's the Zero Escape series. So it had three games. 9 hours, 9 doors, 9 persons was the first one, and then the other two are called Zero Escape with a subtitle. Like there's like some subtitle with it, but there's the three games for the Zero Escape series. Real
Okay.
quick, game on the screen, D Beat Heroes was one of the demos that came out for one of the games that was announced that we talked about like last week.
Hmm.
Um, and it's very like comedy and themes like Power Rangers or like Mega Man or like that type of thing. Um, what was funny, it was just the way they did the opening, where you're like, oh man, first day at my prestigious school. I've pre planned. Absolutely nothing will go wrong. And then immediately it says principal's office. So I thought that was funny. But the point of the game is like very like small grid, and you constantly switch between the three of these heroes as you're like fighting like monsters and like zipping around the small map, and like certain ones can only be defeated by certain colors, and it's just like very fast paced button mashy. But I enjoyed it. It's funny and it's a very funny story.
Okay. Well, Technically, there was still more going on, but I can keep it brief. Funny enough, before I go into it, I got a DM, which I think is funny. Um, so technically, while we're recording this, some of the other shows are still going on. Somebody sent me a message saying the Xbox show was a 10 out of 10, and the PC show was a 0 out of 10. I thought that was funny.
Oh man, can't wait to see those.
I just thought that was funny. I'm looking at it like, okay, well, don't say
Yeah.
nothing. Because I might catch the Xbox one later tonight. But all right. The Day of the Devs will be the final thing we can mention here.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it was interesting because I was fully expecting it to be a full developer talk show, but they actually had world premieres like
Yeah.
every so often. And I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't really too much interested in any of them, but I did get one game here, which was right at the end. Platonic Games presents Super Yooka-Laylee Kart, which they did mention was still pre-alpha footage. It looked like a Super Nintendo Super Mario Kart type title a little bit.
Yeah.
Something they were just, I guess, maybe trying to experiment with or something. I am a fan of Yooka-Laylee. If anybody knows, Yooka-Laylee was from the team that originally worked on Banjo-Kazooie and moved away from Rare Games to create their own thing. So they couldn't use the title, but they decided to still make a game with that same format. And that's when they came up with Yooka-Laylee, which is, the two animals that are similar to Banjo-Kazooie, but they're doing their own thing. And they did a 3D game of that, then a 2D game that was resembling like a Donkey Kong type 2D game. Then they did a remaster or a remake, I think it was a remaster of the 3D game. And then we kind of just left that alone for a little while, and then now they're coming back with this cart. And so maybe that might be a thing. Let's remaster and remake or give it a take on our versions of Nintendo games that we used to work on when we were under Nintendo's umbrella. But I'm here for it. Hey, another racer, alternative. I'm here for it. What about you? Anything on this show?
Yeah, I got one, and it was mentioned a long time ago, but it was nice to see more of. Into the Unwell. So it looks like you're very like old school, like 1930s cartoon, like Mouse PI, but it's a roguelike shooter.
Okay. And I think that's all we got for right now. This was the cutoff. Honestly, was for the Summer Games Fest. I knew that if we had did a whole bunch of shows afterwards, it wouldn't have been as interesting. That would have been probably and it would have been more healthy for us to do that. I had one of those days where I was actually up to 3 a.m, trying to watch all this stuff, and I was like, this can't continue. But yeah, I think June 6th. And then today is this recording is June 7th, so I'm assuming the Xbox show is over. We got the Xbox show, the PC showcase. June 6th in itself had like a whole bunch of games in itself, or a whole bunch of game shows in itself. I think it was like 6 or 7. And then so there's about 10 more shows out there, and I'm pretty sure somebody's gonna show their face at the last minute just to be in that lineup. Because when I went back to the list, they added some few in there. So I'm still gonna keep releasing them on our Discord and stuff, and then we'll just go from there. But that was all we got so far. A lot of cool things to look forward to. I do want to mention I do plan to play Digimon Survive. That was your pick. I'm play that this month. One of the games I'm also still playing this month is Tears of the Kingdom. And I think after we do shows next week, the week after that, I will give my impressions on the PSVR 2. I did at least take it out the box. Now it's just kind of sitting on the corner. I still have not turned it on yet, because of all this other stuff. But I'll give some context to that, and then maybe show some more demos later. That's all I got. That's all we got. An hour and 54 minutes. Ooh. All right. Like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll catch you next week. Peace.